We now take a look at the news around the East African region. In Tanzania, authorities have rescued a giant python from a forest after it was mobbed by pilgrims who believed it had supernatural powers. Several Tanzanians were flocking to Kasala Forest in the northwest of the country when the snake, estimated to be 10 feet long, was spotted 2 weeks ago. They gave it offerings of live animals in the belief that if it ate them, it would deliver their wishes. The Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism later intervened after an alarm of a high number of people trekking to see the snake. It has organized for the python to be moved to a neighboring game reserve to ensure its safety. President Salva Kiir and the Eritrean Special Envoy to South Sudan, Osman Sallah, held a meeting in the capital, Juba, on matters of bettering bilateral relations. Speaking to reporters after the meeting, South Sudan's Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister Deng Dao Deng said Osman handed over to the South Sudanese leader a letter from his counterpart, Isaias Afwerki. The Eritrean official also appreciated the role Kiir played in ending the political crisis in neighboring Sudan. We now take a look at the news around the world. In Zimbabwe, as public wakes for the former President Robert Mugabe have drawn to a close, traditional chiefs are demanding the body be buried according to spiritual traditions. Those requests have been part of a dispute over the final burial of Mugabe, who died on September 6th, almost 2 years after a coup ended his increasingly autocratic 37-year rule. He died during a medical trip to Singapore, aged 95, leaving Zimbabweans torn over the legacy of a man who some still laud for his role as a colonial-era liberation hero. Mugabe's burial has already been caught up in a dispute between his family, who wanted to bury him at his rural homestead, Zvimba, and the government, which pushed for the body to rest at a national monument in the capital. They finally agreed Mugabe would be buried at the National Heroes Eka Monument in about 30 days, once a mausoleum was built for him. Protesters massed in the Algerian capital to demand the cancellation of a controversial presidential election planned for December the 12th. Interim leader Abdelkader Ben Salah announced the poll on Monday in a bid to resolve the political deadlock gripping the country since the April resignation of longtime President Abdelaziz Bouteflika. But activists have demanded political reforms and the removal of Bouteflika loyalists, including the powerful army chief Ahmed Gaid Salah, before any vote takes place. Now, official results in the presidential election were expected Tuesday to confirm a duel in the second round between law professor Kais Saied and imprisoned media mogul Nabil Karoui in Tunisia. With almost 90% of ballots counted, Saied was set to advance the next round with 18.8% of the vote ahead of Karoui, who had 15.7% according to the Electoral Commission. Depending on if any appeals are launched, the second round could be organized for October 6th, the same day as legislative elections, or on October 13th. From Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his main challenger Benny Gantz were deadlocked today after an Israeli general election, reports said, raising the possibility of a unity government or even the end of the premier's long rule. Various Israeli media reported that Netanyahu's right-wing Likud and Gantz blue and white had 32 seats, each of parliament's 120, with more than 90% of the vote counted. The reports were citing sources with the elections committee, as that level of results had not been officially posted yet. Let's take a quick break and return with news in business.